Hey everybody, Ray Ives, the pen of an underdog. So getting to the end of part 3, and this subchapter is called Career Defining Moment Number 2. Career Defining Moment Number 2, and here's why. There were some pivotal things that had happened, Career Defining Moment Number 1, Career Defining Moment Number 2, and there's a couple other dramatic things that happened. So in this moment, my mentor, Denzel, was leaving. He had enough. He was tapping out. Martha Massasoit, she was just too harsh, too critical, too unpredictable, and it wore him down and wore him down, and it was really starting to affect his health to the point where he had to leave to survive. He couldn't deal with the stress. He couldn't deal with the unpredictability. I wouldn't say pressure. He could have definitely hung on and handled pressure. Like corporate pressure for a guy like Denzel, no problem. But corporate pressure with a schizophrenic maniac who would personally attack him and everybody around him was just too much. And I don't blame him. Leave, get out of that environment. I had to stay because I was earning my stripes. The experience was more valuable and would outshine the pain and the darkness of Martha's venomous poison. When she would walk in a room and she would just spit and soak people with venom, including me. I was always her favorite victim. I knew I had to stick that through. So here I was, career defining moment number 2. Denzel, my boss, the director of sales. I was the sales manager, basically his understudy. He was my mentor. I was his mentee. And through that, I built relationships with our key clients. And I remember calling our key clients and saying this: Denzel is leaving. I am asking for you to give me this chance and that I will make you proud. Now, who would say that I will make you proud? The reason I said that, the majority of people that I worked with were 10, 15 years older than me. I was super young. And so when I started building the rapport with everybody, they took on roles of almost like a protector. A lot of the women I worked with that were for competing brokers took me under their wing. They helped me. They taught me. So when I say something like, I will make you proud, I am saying that to somebody who invested in me, but also I gave them value. I was an equal basically to Denzel. They could count on me to set up a meeting, arrange everything, work analytics, come out with strategy, take their message from general office and funnel it through divisions. I was building that rapport. And so when I said, can you give me this chance? I'll make you proud. It was the right message. And I didn't say that with everybody, but it was the right message. And they knew that my work ethic, my integrity, everything I stood for, and everything that I've proven to them up until this point was everything I said I was. Career defining moment number 2. I had to have another conversation with the vice president of my company, Manfredi McVicker, and talk to Manfredi about what's going to happen with Dave leaving and being proactive and saying, entrust me with this in servitude, trust me with this opportunity that I can step into Dave's role. And I wasn't going to play that card, make me the director of sales, pay me Dave's salary. I was willing just to step into the role and cover things, almost if it was like a trial period. So I was asking, give me this opportunity. I've already talked to the manufacturers. They've given me their approval. They accept. You could call them and talk to them. And Manfredi, again, knowing my work ethic, how I handled situations, how I was managing through Martha Massasoit, basically said, you got it. I'm giving you the shot. It's approved. Stay close. We need to work together. Of course, he wasn't just going to completely hand it over. He was going to verify with the manufacturers. He was going to stay in touch with the manufacturers, but I was going to take the lead. And if for whatever reason there was going to be some shortcomings, Manfredi, the vice president, was there. Now, I understood that, and I made sure that whatever I lacked in perception, that I was overcompensating with results. I was over-delivering. I was exceeding expectations. I was coming to the table prepared. I was proactive. Manufacturers trusted me. Again, a moment to take a step back and look at my resume. My resume was beginning to really impress me. I say that with the lens of looking at resumes in 2005, looking at resumes when I was a bartender, looking at resumes when people were coming into the Italian restaurant and smelling that, wood burning oven, that a resume at that point was very foreign to me. And what I was starting to put together now was extreme. So, as a corporate sales manager, I represented more than 20 manufacturers, multiple categories within the department, and saw that their products, through a very extensive supply chain where a lot of things could go wrong because their shelf life, these are tempered products, usually frozen. And as they were going into over 2,400 stores, I was at the captain's chair ensuring everything was going smoothly. In addition to that, I oversaw the private label sales grow 30% by increasing merchandising space strategically and having those conversations and negotiating. And at the same time, kind of living some of that category analyst role or seeing how that plays out and could really add value at different levels of the business model. So I had data requests, sales trackers, store audits, training seminars between corporate offices, vendors, and divisions, encompassing, the old position with the new position and seeing things, again, big picture, big business model, how all these pieces were working. 2 more bullet points: directed start to finish processes for promotions, new item setup, warehouse alignment, and cost changes, pretty standard industry stuff. Ensure the corporate standard and expectations were implemented. So it was a centralized business model. The plan was structured at the corporate level and then would roll out to divisions. And rolling plans out to divisions took a lot of maneuvering, communication, negotiating. It just didn't happen. It wasn't a switch that turned on. I was holding my own. My resume was beginning to build. And that was such a career-defining moment because I was handed the responsibility that I knew I could then speak to and put on my resume. And I continued to work on my skills, continued to work on, myself professionally, personally, spiritually, physically, mentally. I was preparing for every facet of life, for everything that entailed in my industry, from sourcing products, procurement, cost analysis, financial planning, pricing models, promotional lifts, analytics, merchandising, and execution. I was a student of life. I was a student of the industry. I was a student of the company. I was a student. And I felt very blessed and I was grateful for Denzel. I spent so much time with Denzel, going to lunch with him 3-4 times a week, learning everything he knew over his decades. He shared with me. He basically opened up his playbook and gave me the shortcuts. And for that, I will always be indebted to Denzel. It was just amazing. And here I was squeezing every bit of knowledge out of this opportunity. I wasn't going to squander it. I wasn't going to let it go by. I just knew where I was at a Fortune 26 company to have access to data. And again, this was data total enterprise. More than 2,400 stores, more than just the category and subcategories that I was in, more than the department, outside of the department, total store, everything. I had access to data. And so having access to that data, I always was ethical, never shared information I wasn't supposed to share. If clients had access, then they had access. If they didn't, I didn't share it. But it gave me the insights to understand full picture, more so than any time in my career, because at first I was just a category analyst. Now I was the corporate sales manager, managing all these moving pieces, having access to a data system at a bigger company, keeping my manufacturers happy, giving them reports to understand their business and to strategize. And so it became this comprehensive position. It just wasn't a sales manager. I was leading the orchestra. I was leading conversations and meetings and agendas. And so I'm deeply grateful for Denzel. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity. That is the end of part 3. Moving along here, The Pen of an Underdog. Check it out. You can see the book behind me. It's on Amazon, The Pen of an Underdog by Ray Ives. If you read it, there's going to be something in there that is going to be the catalyst for your next decision, for your next move. I can't tell you the lesson, right? It's obvious to me. I believe when anyone reads this book, and my intentions to write this book were to help people. And even if I help just one person, and I say this, if I could write a 90,000 book in 30 days, then you can do anything. And I mean that. I was never a strong academic. I wasn't good at learning. I wasn't good at reading or writing until later on in life. And then at one point in time, when I decided to write this book, I decided to do so with vulnerability, authenticity, and the intent to help somebody. So, The Pen of an Underdog, Ray Ives. Stay connected. Reach out to me. Let's connect, whether you want to connect professionally, you want to talk about the book. Thanks for joining Ray Ives, The Pen of an Underdog.